Okay, go for it.
William Clevenger,
Present.
Bill Githens.
Here.
Jenny Monroe.
Here.
Sally Ricciardi.
Here.
Rich West.
Present.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we get started, I know there are people online, and just a reminder that this meeting is recorded. So if you participate in the meeting online or in the room, you're giving your permission to be recorded. So just wanted to remind everyone of that. So we'll start with approval of minutes for the marathon.
Among others, may I please have approval of the executive session minutes from February 25th, March 4th, and March 9th, the regular meeting minutes from March 9, March 23rd, and April 13th, and the work session minutes from March 18th.
We have to go one by one?
No.
Okay, so moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, next we have March finances.
Second.
All right, I'll take that from Bill Githens. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next on the agenda, we had the third reading of Ordinance 2021-004, establishing the park fees or costs. We already passed this on first and second read. Any questions or comments from council?
None.
None.
Incorporated the LMI index or guidelines with that. Yes.
Yep. Motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next on the agenda, we
You're going
have,
to publish the new rates?
Yes.
Thank you. Excuse me.
no problem. Next on the agenda, we have visitor center contract. Karen sent out a copy of this. I believe last fall we had budgeted $14,000. I think the one amendment that Karen made was allowing use of beach lodge space on the top floor of the beach lodge. Any other questions or discussion points? Any questions for Tracy is here, I see. Any questions, Tracy? Okay,
Move to approve.
Second.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay. Okay, next on the agenda, we have Lake Max Trails. Just a quick update on Lake Max Trail Phase 3, the portion, leaving the park to go north. I've given Jim some information to start working on a draft contract to send to Culver Academies. Let Doug Bird know, gave him a heads up that draft would be coming in the near future. So we'll have that to review at the next council meeting and put it on the agenda. And then if there's, any back and forth between Culver Academies and town, Jim and I'll work on it, and then we'll present something to all of you at the next meeting, if that's all right. And then there is a property along that route that is not Academy property, so we'll have to follow federal regulations and go through that process for acquisition or easement to work on that section. In the meantime, Monday morning, I won't be in the office right away because I'll be at the county commissioners meeting to request working in the right of way on the roads on that route. Because as you know, some of those are county roads. We already have permission for the state road, but we'll have to go with Sycamore and 16C, et cetera. So Kevin Overmeyer stuck me on the commissioner's agenda, and we'll deal with that Monday. So I'll update you once we've gotten through that meeting. And then, so then we can go back to Lake Max Trail Phase 2, which is the trail that goes from the park down Washington, over to Plymouth, down to South Main Street. As you guys know, we had approved making some redesign tweaks. The NDOT has asked us to try to get that in back to them around May 20th. So in the meantime, I think on Tuesday of this past week, I reached out to one of the folks in the neighborhood, Patty McCormick. We arranged to meet on Saturday. There were several people who couldn't make it to that meeting. She had emailed some people. So then last night I met with David and Renee, and then Jerry and Randy Burkett across the street from David and Renee. Haven't met with everyone yet. I do need to reach out also to Don Baker on South Main, because Bob and I want to confirm that we know the plan there, because it still has the original design there. But I know there was some back and forth with Don on that property. So I know we have several people from the Plymouth Street neighborhood here. My next step was I brought the design set to Rich this afternoon, who brought it up to Town Hall. I've left the other printed set I had with Patty McCormick. We should get an electronic copy of how it currently stands with the design changes today. That'll come to Karen tomorrow. If we make additional changes, we'll obviously get an updated set. But for now, it includes what they've changed since our last meeting. And I think right now, Rich, did you put it back there? Or? Oh, you've got it, Karen. Okay. Tonight, after the meeting, I plan to meet with Joey and Randy because there is a chunk of this design that Mike thinks might work out for a parking solution. We've got to take a closer look at that. And anyone else who wants to stay and take a look at it. I'm sorry, I've forgotten your name.
I'm Tim.
Oh, Tim. Okay, yeah. Sorry about that. Rich introduced me and it went in one ear and out the other. Tim may take another look at it as well, but we looked at it before the meeting. So if we do any additional changes to what's here, Mike would like to get those from us by like May 5th to May 10th time range. They want at least 10 days to add any additional changes. And they've got to go through and do utility look and drainage and all that sort of stuff. So that would allow them time to get it back to NDOT before the 20th.
Since we don't have another regular council meeting before then, I think we wanted to discuss changes you had talked about, perhaps removing the 3-foot grass area as one of the changes.
Yeah, between,
Look at it this way, I guess.
if you look at the alley, there's an alley coming down Randy and Joey's property. I don't know what that road is, honestly, or what that alley would be called. But from that point south to another alley past Randy and Jerry's property, where the road turns at a kind of an awkward, that's where we've tweaked the most to impact less on properties. The other thing we could do there, we narrowed that path from 10 to 7. The green space or the lawn space next to it, we narrowed from 4 to 3. We could take out that entire lawn space if we want to curb that. And that would tighten that even more on each side and impact those properties. To me, those were the most heavily impacted from everything I looked at. But we've narrowed the entire trail from 10 to 7. And in that particular spot, there's another spot at the beginning when you come off the alley and you turn toward the lake along Sumler's field there. The trail goes along that field and then it crosses the street and it starts all the way up the road. So instead of coming down trail, you could come down shared road space at that spot and just go right on to the beginning of the trail instead of going down that side and then crossing the street. That was another thing that I thought could potentially be changed with, where you see like the start of the trail at that section. So anyway, that's what the changes are going to reflect in these pages. We only did changes down Plymouth. Everything goes from 10 to 7 and lawn space goes from 4 to 3. So if we wanted to tweak that section of road even further, we'd have to take out lawn space. And I don't know if that would have to be approved by NDOT if we meet the minimum requirement of 7 feet. That was something that Mike said he would have to check. They may have to approve that. But any questions or?
I would like to read a brief statement that I think we prepared as a neighborhood.
May I have
Can
your
you,
name?
yeah, I was gonna say, can
I'm
you,
Dave,
Dave,
Dave
If-
Arzola.
if
and your
people,
address?
if you all do want to speak at this point, instead of waiting till citizen input, can you kind of keep it short, like 2-3 minutes, so we don't go till 10 o'clock again?
I work
Go ahead.
11 tonight, so I understand.
May I have your address, please?
519 South Plymouth.
Thank you.
This town council meeting on the 27th, a large group of Culver citizens and property owners, you're here to say hey.
Hey.
So most of us here. A large group of citizens and property owners now wish to submit a letter of opposition regarding the proposed Culver Trail coursing through and damaging our residential neighborhoods. We submit notice and copies of this letter by reference herein, rather than taking town council time at this meeting to read it in entirety. It's down there. This is the abbreviated version. A hard copy of this letter has previously been submitted to Jenny Monroe. You've seen it. And email copies are now being submitted to other town council members as of this time. Copies of this letter are also available to anyone who attended. I've got copies and so do other people here. Or by contacting the Save Our Streets Committee, organized to inform the community about this trail. This group of citizens, now over 85, are growing in number, and we are all affected by this. As late as a few hours before this meeting, 3 more property owners contacted the group asking for information about the plan and confirming their adamant opposition. Like all the others, they had no knowledge of this Culver Trail prior to today. I have personally informed people within a few days that this is happening. As of this date, there are still a significant number of citizens and property owners who remain unaware of this plan and will be shocked to learn of this news. Property owners are upset at both A, the nature of this Culver Trail, which will damage the affected neighborhoods and spoil the quality of life for those affected, and B, the manner of how this decision was made without those affected being directly and properly informed, consulted, or given the opportunity to object. Of those now learning of this plan of today, over 85 have adamantly indicated their opposition, and only one person has indicated that they support this trail as planned. We submit this letter of opposition to the town council and ask that a special meeting be convened by the town to allow all affected and concerned citizens to voice their concerns appropriately. We ask that this meeting be convened at a time convenient to most people with ample and sufficient notice provided. We ask, please, now that all affected property owners be directly notified and asked to attend, as would be in the case of other changes of use within the town, such as zoning changes. We also ask the town council to delay any further action to move this plan forward until such a time as the requested meeting can be held and all concerns given the opportunity to at least express their views, opinions, and concerns. Our group has a common email address, which will be hosted by CERN in order to be encrypted and secure, saveourstreet@protomail.com. We ask the town council to use this email address to notify us as a whole. Like town and gown email system, not all those affected can be reached simply by email, so we ask that also that notifications be mailed to all affected property owners. From a personal perspective, I am very late to this. The first meeting that I actually attended regarding this was the last one, so it's personally very disheartening to hear that this would be the last meeting before all this goes into phase 2, which is, as I live on South Plymouth Street, we are one of the most affected properties, and I feel I've had very little notice. I appreciate your taking the time to consider people now. I just feel that it's very little and very late, and hopefully we can move together. I think everyone here loves Culver, we all want to work together to improve this trail if the opportunity presents itself. I know at the last meeting we talked about NDOT grants kind of working us into a corner where any changes made, if you have to have approved, it slows down the process. I don't understand government bureaucracy. I just know it works slowly, and I understand the frustration from your end. But these are our lives. I mean, these are our homes. I rode my bike here. I like bike trails. And when the original submission for input was put out, I approved a bike trail. I didn't realize that it would be right outside my front door, almost literally. I think that the idea is good. The ambition has all the right heart in it, but I also feel that the planning has dropped the ball about as hard as it can. And I don't mean that in any personal disrespect, but I just feel that, now's the time to listen to your constituents and hear our voices, and hopefully we can maybe move it to Main Street, which seems to be a lot more favor of the people here, or possibly switching to signs. Like I said, we're all willing to work here, but if we're just going to hit the gavel and move forward, then I feel like you're ignoring a lot of the residents that you're chosen to represent. And there's enough cynicism in government. We don't need it here on the local level. We all are neighbors and we all care about each other. So let's care for one another, okay? That's all I have to say. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone else want to speak? Anyone else? Anyone online want to speak on this? Yeah, there's a design sheet or plan set that actually is now over here. If you could wait though, I don't want to stop our meeting to sit and look at it. I do know a couple of people who are here are planning on looking at it after the meeting, so I told them I'd stick around. If you want to, that would be perfectly fine. If not, we can arrange to meet with you. From a timeline standpoint, we have until about May 10th-ish to get any changes on here in. So the first stab we took at it was general changes like switching the width of the trail from 10 to 7 feet, lawn space from 4 to 3. That was one of our attempts to make some adjustments to make it less impactful. It doesn't mean that that's final. We can take feedback up to a certain point, and then we have to get it turned in so that they can actually implement that into a final design set. We had already done what's called final tracings on the project. So we got permission from NDOT to make changes because of citizen feedback.
So there will be another meeting after we're able to actually see what you have changed.
You can see now what we've already changed since the last 2 meetings. That's reflected in this for Plymouth Street. There aren't any current planned changes for South Main Street if you're on South Main Street. This is Plymouth. So you could look at that today. And if we make
put any input after?
No, if we want to make further changes, what I'm saying is we need to get them into engineering by the 10th so they can get them done to get them off to NDOT by the 20th. So we basically got NDOT to give us some more time, because once you submit that final design, they have what's called a letting date. It's going to go out to bid, and that was the stage we were at when we halted everything to make these changes. So from a process standpoint, that's how it works. And I know we called a work session before the last regular meeting very quickly. I mean, we did that, I think, because we had a lot of questions coming up through Karen at Town Hall at the time. And then we've since then, at the last council meeting, we approved spending the money to make the design changes that are currently reflected in there. So you're welcome to take a look at those. I've met with a handful of you who have already looked at it, and I left one of these plan sets with your neighbor just in case, because I knew some of you emailed each other, and I left a set with Patty and Colleen because we were meeting at their house on Saturday. So we'll have an electronic copy of this sometime tomorrow that we can put out on a website, or you can request a link to it, and we'll be able to send you a link if you want to look at the electronic file. Yes.
What's our liability if somebody comes down through there and wrecks their bicycle and lands up in my driveway and crushes his head? What liability do I have because you put a bike trail right in front of my house?
I think it would be like if anyone's on a sidewalk, right?
Yeah, same as that, same as street. You're probably not gonna be liable if it, the collision occurred in a right of way. Just because they ended up in your yard.
And what
You may
about,
have damages against them if they damage your property.
okay, what about the snow removal? Is there going to be snow removal on this trail? A lot of people walk their dogs and stuff in the wintertime.
Currently, we have snow removal on the phase 1 trail. That would be up to the council. I'm assuming we'll have snow removal on it because it's called a trail versus a sidewalk. Right now, the only snow removal we do on sidewalks is in the commercial district, but we are currently removing snow on the Lake Max trail that's in the park.
Okay, now what's the chances of putting a fence up?
So like a front yard fence or
Yeah.
a side yard fence. I don't know that our ordinance or
You have to check
zoning.
the zoning ordinance.
I don't think zoning allows a front yard fence, but I could be wrong, Randy. I'm not positive. I thought
It has to be 50% visible.
50%
Yeah.
visible.
Mhm.
Yeah, so
Every other plank. So you can see through, and it can't be more than
5 feet or 6 feet.
it's 5.
5 feet, it's 5
or
feet
less,
tall, because that's come up in BZA last week.
Can you
Yeah.
put barbed wire on the top? Go ahead and bottom too, so they can't take them.
No, you can't put glass on a rock wall either.
Can you say your name, please?
My name is Greg Polidoro. I live on.
Yeah, may I speak? My name is Frank Fumich.
No, hold on 1 minute, please. We have someone in the room speaking, and then we'll let you speak, sir.
Thank
Go
you.
ahead.
I asked what the plans for drainage and curbing or anything like that is on that particular area.
Once you finalize the design that we're in now, they'll look at that. They're already looking at drainage and where we might need an inlet or we need to add another drain. It kind of depends on what this final design ends up being. So,
The way it is now, the way it ran, my backyard is the bowl, on the bowl.
where are you located at?
Right behind my place.
Oh,
Right
okay,
next to
on
me,
the corner
right
there?
next to me.
Okay.
Yeah, he gets a nice lake when it rains.
So do I. I got one whole lattice flooded when it rains. Been doing that since I bought property.
You got Frank is on the phone.
Yes,
I messaged him.
Frank, if
Hello.
you're on the phone, please go ahead.
I want to thank you for the time. And I'm new to the conversation, as probably many people are. And thank you for the opportunity to speak. So I guess in the spirit of knowing how much momentum has this really gained, I hear the gentleman who calls in, Randy, who may have spoke up, and looking for a bit of a slowdown of this process for more understanding and for time to digest and know where we stand with this. But it seems there's also a press to move forward by May the 10th. And may I ask, what is the pressure to move forward so quickly? Why is there a deadline with so few people knowing what is happening? And I would like to know how this impacts East Washington, my own residents, to know how much we're going to experience encroachment, if you will. So the first gentleman spoke quite well, and I think I would join him among the other 85, seeking a slowdown, clarity, information, attendance of a meeting, because May 10th is coming up very soon, and I want to determine how committed the committee is, where you sit, to press forward before we as citizens have a chance to really digest this and give our input.
Yeah, I can give you the NDOT schedule. NDOT works usually on like a 4-year schedule. So you first submit your application, and this is a Stellar project. So we won Stellar in 2017, which is then we kicked off the projects in 2018. So this is one of the Stellar projects, happens to be an NDOT funded project. Some of our other Stellar projects are OCRA funded. OCRA projects are usually 12 months to 18, but NDOT projects usually occur over a 4-year period. So typically after you do your environmental, your surveying, your preliminary engineering, then you do a public hearing with the design set. That was done in September of 2019. Normally, after that public hearing, you take any sort of feedback you get, incorporate that into the final design, and then you go to what's called the letting date, which is your construction bid. Typically, after your public hearing, that can be 6 months all the way up to a year, depending on NDOT schedule, their budget, and where you're at with the project. This probably would have typically gone to letting last year, but when COVID happened, NDOT put some of the projects on a delay. So we were coming back around to going to letting this spring. And so what happens after you get your final design done, you have to follow these federal requirements if you have to acquire property or an easement. So in the case of this project, letters went out to anyone that you had to get property acquisition from or an easement from. And those letters went out, I think, in like December, January timeframe. And then eventually once you've done all that acquisition and you're ready to let the project, they send it to bid. And so we had some input at the public hearing and assumed that we could incorporate that feedback, finalize design, get the acquisitions done. NDOT delayed it with COVID. So they're now in the last phase of this project. So they usually, once you finalize design, they usually say, okay, it's time to go to bid, and they don't let you make a bunch of changes. We can go back to them and say, okay, thanks for allowing us to make some changes. We would now like to take more time with this. They would have to give us permission to do that without us jeopardizing losing the funding for the project. If you cancel an NDOT project entirely, the town would have to pay back the grant funds that they have spent on the project. So the money that paid the engineer, the money that paid the people who did the acquisitions and the surveying and that sort of stuff would have to get paid back.
So if you will, it sounds like you're committed. You've spent money that you can't pay back, and therefore you're moving forward. Would that be accurate?
To date, yes.
How much money's been spent?
I don't know. We'd have to look. Karen would have an accounting of it. The match dollars came from our Redevelopment Commission. The only funds from the town itself were the $10,000 we agreed to make these design changes with. So you've got redevelopment money, and then whatever money NDOT spent, they do 80%, and you're responsible for 20%. Our 20% was coming from our Redevelopment Commission on this project.
And as I'm new to this information, and I live on East Washington, is this something that directs a walking bike trail pathway here in the street, or is the sidewalk being taken in front of my house?
If we didn't have to acquire property from you or an easement, most of what we're working with on this trail is in right of way where the town owns the land.
I'm speaking of the sidewalk that I know that I maintain. That I maintain the landscape of that. Is that being encroached upon?
if that sidewalk is in right of way and we're putting the trail on your side of the road, yes, we'd be using that, but I don't know where you're located. I'd have to look at the design and look at where you're at.
I can give you my address.
Okay,
Like I'm on 404 East Washington.
North or south side of the street.
are you on the north or south side? I'm sorry.
I'm on the north side of the street. My front porch stairway lands on the sidewalk.
Okay, I'll have to get back to you and look at it. I don't have it in front of me at the moment.
Either
Well-
the house that was renovated or the one next door to, across the street from Gallon's. Washington's the street that. we
East
own a house.
Washington.
Okay. And can you say your name one more time? I'm sorry, Frank, was it?
Frank, yes, ma'am. Frank Fumich.
Okay,
So, you know, in the idea that I'm going to possibly have a bike path at the bottom of my staircase, I probably am not alone in the concern that I'm going to walk right into this when I walk off my front steps.
do you currently walk into a sidewalk?
I do. But there are not bicycles on that sidewalk routinely.
Okay,
Most people walk down the street on that street, but now we're inviting them onto a path at the foot of my steps, if this is where the path will go. Am
Okay.
am I correct?
I will have to call you back. I have to look at it. I honestly don't know what it looks like right there.
Well, this is my major concern, as many landowners, homeowners may be expressing the same concern, be it cutting through their yard or landing their staircases or their front doors immediately adjacent to this is quite an encroachment. You know, it's a low traffic street that to just direct them as they currently walk down off of the lake, they could walk right into East Washington as it is, give up the parking spaces if must be, but to come onto the sidewalk and put this at the foot of my steps, I go on record as saying that is displeasing.
Karen's telling me that she doesn't believe it's on your side of the road. She just looked your address up on GIS.
It's the blue house, correct?
No, it's a gray and white house.
Next to Bruce and
You're on the
Thomas.
north side.
I'm on the north side.
Yeah, it's on the opposite side of the road.
It's on the south side.
Yeah.
Are they affected this way?
Most of the trail on Washington is actually using road space, right-of-way road.
So signs would be a good idea. As the first gentleman suggested, we could do some signage for this as well and keep the traffic on the road.
I suggest rather than re-engineer this at the meeting, that either there be a public
We're gonna have
meeting or,
meetings, yeah.
or come in to take a look at the drawings and so you can familiarize yourself with where the path is and what it looks like, and then you comment to that. At this point, it's sort of hypothetical.
Thank you for the time. Thank you.
But if you're moving forward with this and you're submitting bids, then it needs to be handled now. There is no other time. You guys are the ones who put this forward and moving
Not
forward.
to offend you, but I have been making time for you. I've spent a lot of time on this project and I'm happy to make more time for it. So is Town Hall. We can be here business hours. I've been on the weekend meeting with people, in the evening meeting with people. You guys can testify to that fact. I am trying to accommodate people. That's really tough for one person or three people to run around to different people. So when we do hold meetings, we are trying to get that input, but we also have a huge agenda to cover in these meetings. So it's not to put, it's not-
This too, I understand that.
no, I'm not gonna
So-
get in an argument with you. No, we're not gonna argue, period. It's a waste of everyone's time in the room.
I do agree with that.
So if
but
you
I'm hearing
do,
that you're moving
if you
forward.
want to look at the design again, please come in. None of us has said that. We can talk to NDOT and see if we can get more time. But in the meantime, we're doing everything we can to get that feedback in and to let people look at the design. No one's hiding it from you. I've gone out of my way to bring it to people in some cases.
Sounds like it's
So-
too late and no one has to hide anything.
It was there was adequate public notice given on this, there were public hearings on it. We are listening to the fact.
I don't
that people
think you
did
would
not.
have such an uproar if there was.
Thank you.
Okay?
Randy,
This is the problem. It wasn't introduced during the design.
Randy,
We would have been polite
That's
a
what
year
it
ago.
is.
Will the chair maintain order, please?
yes, Randy, we can't have outbursts at our meeting. I'm sorry.
All right.
We did have public hearings. We met requirements on meetings. We advertised in the paper. We advertised on TGL. The TGL monitor is here. We advertised on social media. We did go out of our way to advertise meetings. So I know you don't want to believe that, but those are actual facts. They're documented. The newspaper has documented all of our stellar projects. So I can't,
I'm into it.
so we're required to actually do that advertising. Karen does all of our advertising for these meetings. So you weren't written a letter to your personal address, but there was advertising for meetings, and we've had several of them on these projects. So we're doing our best to continue getting feedback while we still can. We spent money to get design changes made to accommodate people. So that right now is the best that we can do. If we can get a delay, we'll get a delay. But otherwise, we have to keep moving on with the project.
Or we could cancel it.
Yeah.
That is an option.
Yes, that is an
That
option.
is an option. We have to give back the money. Well, what is that number? We haven't even explored that yet.
Okay, we've heard from you. I'm not going to hear from you anymore. We're going to move on with our agenda. Jerry, did you want something to add?
Yes, I'd like to request that you move the trail from South Plymouth Street, from Washington Street, all the way around through town to Main Street and down East Shore Lane, East Shore Drive. Put it out in the street. That's the solution. It would help the whole town.
We are doing a phase of this trail on the other end of town off of Academy Road. So it's going to go north out of the park.
I'm talking
So
about-
there's 10 phases to the trail plan. This happens to be phase 2 of it. If we were to move it to Main Street, one, as I've tried to explain to everybody, we don't have right of way there. The only thing we could do is paint there.
You do have right of way, you have the street.
And even then,
Sidewalks. Who owns the street?
even
Who owns
then,
the
if we move the route after we've done final tracings as we've done, we need NDOT's permission to do that. So we can't just say, yeah, let's move the route. We've also have to re-engineer the route and pay for all of that. So you're right back to where we were at the last meeting.
You've got so many people upset. Wouldn't that be a good solution?
I thought that this was a good solution to change the design and make it better and less impactful on your property.
It's not a good solution.
So it
All these
doesn't,
people here are upset. All of them.
I think for you though, it's cancel it or,
I would say cancel.
basically
If I had to choose, I'd say
Thank you,
cancel.
Amber.
As much as I would like to
May I ask the
see
chair
this,
to move the?
Yeah, let's-
Second that motion. Discussion on this.
all right. Do you want an all in favor on that or call it?
I so move.
Okay. All right, so East Shore Corp amendment, do
Let's
we,
vote on that.
oh, go ahead. All in favor?
Aye.
Karen, do you have someone on the line for East Shore Corp?
Yes.
And Kathy, you're here, okay. Do you want to open this discussion or you want to, okay.
You guys know.
Bruce needs to unmute. There we go.
So, all right, can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay, I don't have video of that may be intentional. This
Fritz.
is Fritz Stack, I'm the president of East Shore Corp. And we submitted the amendment probably a month ago for your review. And I'm here to answer any questions you might have as to the proposed amendment. But basically, we are asking for another 20 spaces within the treatment plant for future development within East Shore District. We're currently using 102. We have, as a district, it's formed, but within the district, we'll probably have, somewhere, and Kathy, you can help me a little bit here, 11 to maybe 15 new users on the system. But beyond that, I feel like the long-term development is probably fairly stagnant. But we think because there are at least 150 buildable lots within the district that we should cover that in our agreement with the town. I think it's
Okay.
still out in the amendment fairly well. So any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
I think we had a question last time on the one-time capacity buy-in fee. I think Jim ran the math and came up with a different number than you did. Is that correct, Jim?
Well, that's probably right.
It's currently $25,539.46. Guys, can you please quiet? I'm sorry. And I
What was
think
that
you had,
number again?
it's currently $25,539.46.
Right.
Payable December 31st to go from 130 to 150.
Well, payable before September 30th, 2021.
Actually,
2022,
December
it
31,
says.
2022 is what it says. I introduced this at the last meeting. I had a question about how you came up with the additional buy-in fee. If you divided 130 into the 179,254, and my math might be wrong, I came up that and then you were going to add 20, and if you would have multiplied that number by 20, I came up with, it should have been $27,577.60.
Well,
The other thing that I raised at the last meeting, and you know, we can check the math, whatever it is. We understand that you're not using them 130, and I wanted to make sure that the council was clear that we had plenty of capacity to handle the additional 20 dwelling units that this contract calls for. We haven't been through a summer season yet with East Shore, and you told us 102 on board, so you still have 28 units that you could add. So we really don't have a full idea through the summer season of what the 130.
They went through
was gonna
summer
be.
season last year.
It started middle of June.
Okay, what Bob did, but some of that was hauling, right?
No.
Okay,
No, we've
all
been
right.
hauling.
All right, well, anyway, so I wanted to make sure that the council was aware that they had plenty of capacity. There's also been housing projects on the west side of town. There's a, annexation area on the northwest side of town. But what I didn't want the council to do is get into a position where capacity was going to be a problem and they were going to need to, expend some funds that, they're going to have to come up with either through rate increase or whatever. I think from talking further with Bob Porter, he thinks that capacity is not going to be a problem. So I don't think that's, we've got confirmed that now. I guess that it's up to the council to decide if they're willing to go along with the addition and with the additional buy-in fee that's been suggested. And, other than that, the contract form is fine.
And that, I assume that date of 2022 would change to 2021,
September.
December. It currently says 2022 instead of
Did we pay the
2021.
initial, what?
The additional buy-in fee would be payable on or before December 31, 2022.
Chris, I think that's okay, but that's up to you, sir.
All right.
I have a question. Which buy-in figure are we using? Your 25,539 or Mr. Clevenger's 27,570?
I would probably agree with Mr. Clevenger.
All right.
Our Mr. Bremner calculated this initially, and I think that's basically the formula he was using, but I wouldn't disagree. I would do the same thing Mr. Clevenger did.
So how much, in percentage wise, how much of an increase of your total, how much additional are you requesting as a percentage?
Well, let me calculate it here for you.
16%, am I correct?
That sounds like pretty close.
Okay. I would like to see your buy-in, if we're using Mr. Clevenger's 27,577, I'd like to see your buy-in increase by 16% to 31,989.
Why would you do that?
Well, because you're basically taking capacity that we'll never get back.
It's
And that's the purpose of
probably
buy-in is
capacity
help
we'll
us.
never use.
Pardon?
It's probably capacity we'll never use.
That's a matter of, that's a matter that we, neither one of us can forecast that you are or you aren't.
Right.
What number did you say, Bill? 31,989?
31,989 is 16% of what they want.
Okay. So what,
So I'm not sure why you're adding 16% on already 16%.
Because you're adding 16% of our capacity.
Well, that's what the 20 units correlates to. We already have 130. Adding 20 is, I would agree, probably 16%.
so did you take 16% of the 179? Is that where you came up with 31,989?
Well, I'm using 16% from what they said that it was going to be the increase.
Mm-hmm.
And all I'm asking for is basically to give us some assurance, we'll never get this back.
Mm-hmm.
And this is future plant capacity, dollars that we can obtain now for that additional 16%, which would make it 31,989, 31,989.
Okay.
My question is, Kathy, for you, back when we did Southwest and you added additional homes, you kept the buy-in the same, did you not? Okay, so that's my argument here. The buy-in should not go up. It should be whatever, like Jim said, it's the 27,577. And so for the additional 20 times 20, that's what the money should be. You can't just keep raising the buy-in as you add homes.
Well, we're talking two different contracts, so Bill.
Yeah, but there's already a
What we
precedent
did in
set.
the past contract is no bearing on what we're talking about now.
But the precedent has been set.
I don't know.
Precedent
who
was
set a
set.
precedent.
Well, we did. Because you added homes on Southwest, but you didn't increase the buy-in.
I'm suggesting we increase the buy-in now. I don't see a precedent necessarily.
Sally, Rich, any comments?
And I think it's just a question of how you calculate the increase, whether it's dividing it the way Jim did or doing the percentage increase the way Bill did. I mean, I think the difference we're talking about is
A few thousand
$4,000.
dollars.
Yeah.
And so.
Can we just
I
have
understand
a
both.
clean number of like 30? Like this odd, weird number is, so in general though, is there consensus that we're willing to add 20 to this amendment? That's not an issue. It's just the buy-in amount is an issue.
Correct.
Okay.
And the truth is that once we commit to those 20 homes,
We're committed for
we're
good.
committed, and whether they build on those or not, ever,
Mm-hmm.
we're still committed to keep those with
That's
access,
capacity.
with
Right,
access to our
right.
capacity. So whatever capacity, if it gets tight, we can't just use the 50 home slots that they aren't using.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I see your point. I think you're kind of making the same point as
Yeah.
Bill
Yeah,
Clevenger,
exactly.
right?
Yeah.
So what if we just cleaned up the number and said 31,000? Would East Corp accept that, and would the council accept that? So does it have to be
Corp would
based on?
accept that.
To go back to what Bill Gillen said a few minutes ago, though, sort of setting precedent. So I would suggest we agree upon a formula for how we calculate it, and then going forward, and that's our consistency. pick a number or round off numbers.
There's no philosophy for how we set that number. I'm okay with setting it based on capacity and future capacity, the way that Bill is calculating
So
it.
increase, and Bill, I understand your formula correctly, increasing the 20 potential homes is an increase of 16%. And if you apply 16% of what the original buy-in was, 179.
I'm just asking because if it's 16% of what they're adding in additional capacity, I'm saying that the buy-in fee should be increased by the same amount, the same percentage, which is 16%, which is 31,989. I'd buy 31. I mean, it's not my decision, it's council's decision.
Do you want to motion for 31,989
So moved.
Okay, but
to
somebody,
accept?
I need help with math here because I don't come up with that number on 31, on 16%.
31,989.
I'm using your figure, 27,577. And
Okay,
16, adding 16,
That,
1.16.
I was using the formula of 130 units at the 179, 254.
And I thought, Bill, what you were doing was saying increasing from 130 to 150 is a 16% increase. So apply the 16% to the original buy-in amount of the 179 something. I don't know what that number comes out to. I thought
It adds 28,680. It doesn't add up to 31,000.
All right.
We'll take this 28.
Well, and Kathy's had her hand up. She,
Go ahead, Kathy.
You know, I feel a little bit, when you did Southwest, you guys took a lot of time in Southwest, and you did set, you determined how to figure out what you wanted. You've had a conversation with that, Southwest had a conversation with Mr. Culver, and we're aware that the next time, we still have, don't pin me on this, Jim, but I'm thinking we still have like 8 slots left for them, and it's been 11 years. But we agreed the last time we had brought 2 people in that were outside the district, that the next agreement, we would have to rewrite the agreement. That's understandable. It's been 11 years. It's already been 15 before we get there. But to me, that's why we came up with that first number. That's kind of looks like how they did it, so we'll do it that way.
Sure.
So I hate to see this change again. Conservative districts are overseen by the state, board of accounts, and everything else, and it's on the same lake. It doesn't make sense to come up with a brand new way to figure things out.
So what's your recommendation, Jim? The 27,577 or the 28,680?
It's up to you, but if you use the 179,254, which was the buy-in for 130 units, and you divide that by, so you divide that number by 130, you come out with $1,378.88. If you multiply that by 20, I come up with 27,577.60. If you look at the fact that it's a 16% increase from 130 to 150, and it's not really quite that much, but if you looked at it as 16%, then I come up with the number should be $28,680. I think Bill Clevenger's proposal is, well, if we use the same formula before, 27,577.60 as the true correct number for the same formula that we used before, let's increase it by 16% above that number. That's where he's coming up with the 31. So I really don't have a recommendation or a care. This should be a numbers guy recommendation. It's up to you guys what you want to do. But and then I just will have one other comment. I appreciate that Southwest, we did one thing on it, and I understand this thinking of that, but I really sort of agree with Bill Clevenger. We use different formulas for both of those buy-ins because we had different issues at the time.
Yeah,
So
we were also
don't-
trying to
I
build a
don't-
new plant and
Yeah.
right.
put money down on a grant. And so we had a much larger buy-in, but a different rate. And I get it. Yeah.
I have one other question, Fritz. These 20 new units, these are not lots that were left out of the Conservancy District's application, were they?
No, they are included in the district plan and in the district map. And they are vacant ground that I believe, and we got a lot of, not pressure, but some information from some of the new freeholders in the district that thought that it was concerning that there were potentially 150 usable lots and we only had 130 under contract. So
So the
trying to get
Conservancy
that aligned with our district plan, so that's consistent, is really why we're getting to trying to amend our contract here to 150. And I would agree with your way to get to it. I didn't calculate this number, but I think it's the same formula. It was approached as the same formula that you just used to get to 27 or 28.
So the Conservancy District is 150 lots, and as you guys approach transfer, it's very important to you that you have these additional 20 added on.
Yeah, and like I say, I really, and I agree with Mr. Clevenger that, it's just conjecture. I don't have a crystal ball, but I can't imagine that we would frankly ever get to 130. But because they are within the district, I feel like we have to protect those freeholders too.
That we agreed to the amendment to the agreement, adding the capacity. Price for that, $7,577.60.
Could you also add to that we changed the date on this from December 31, 2022 to December 31, 2021?
Yes, that is.
We have a motion on the floor.
Do you want to add that change of date?
I will amend the motion since it's not the second.
Okay, and I think Bill was making a separate motion at the
I'm sorry.
time
Yeah.
for, was it the 28,680 or the 31,989?
Well, I'm gonna take, since we all kind of in agreement with Jim Clevenger's, Mr. Clevenger with an E.
So the A.
His count, yeah. This is A speaking. That we take his figure that he calculated as the buy-in, and I like to see that increased by 16%.
Okay, so you want it to be 28,680.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, is there second, and would you also agree to changing the date from December 31 to
Absolutely.
2021?
Absolutely.
Is there second to either of those motions?
I did not realize it was one of the four. I'll withdraw.
Okay.
Until.
Okay. Is there a second to Mr. Clevenger's motion?
Are you putting 16% on top of the 28,680?
No,
You're not.
this total is 28,680.
Okay.
Yep.
With the
Are
change
you okay
of
with that,
December.
Kathy?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
Sally just seconded. All
I
in
just want to make sure
favor?
everybody's
Aye.
happy.
Aye.
Aye. I'll go aye on
Did you
that.
get all of that, Karen?
Clevenger made a motion to use Mr. Clevenger without an A figure of 28,680 and changing the
Wrong
date
with
to
Clevenger
what?
bills.
December 31, 2021. Currently, it reads 2022, Karen.
Right.
So we'll have to amend the amendment, get it signed. Can we sign this copy, Jim, so that they can get a copy of it, or?
So it really only requires page 2. I didn't do this. Did you do this?
I did.
No, we did it at Denton's down here.
Okay,
So I can have them redo that and I can get it to Karen. You guys could all sign it at your next meeting, get it to me. I'll sign it and get it back to you.
okay.
Last page.
Yes, the last page
Yeah,
is a
if you guys
signature
want to
page.
sign that, we'll make those changes and give them to you.
Okay. That'd probably be good, because after tonight, I'm not signing.
Right.
Okay. We'll just
And I'll make
make the notes.
the notes on the document, only changes, and then it'll be correct on the document, but
Okay. Okay. All right, is that all, Mr. Fritz? Does everything sound okay then?
Yeah, no, that's fine. I certainly appreciate your consideration and that, with all the commotion we're going through, that's, I'm glad to get this one done. So thank you for your consideration. And now, is Mr. Clevenger, are you going to redo this document or should we redo it and get it to you?
Oh, he's gonna send it, Karen's gonna copy me, I'll send it to Denton.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
Very-
Karen's gonna get with Kathy and they'll get it to you amended.
Outstanding. Thank you very much.
Next on the agenda, we have the water sewer rate study. Karen has brought this to attention a handful of times. We
Yes.
need to decide if we want to move forward.
Yes, if I could get a decision on moving forward, and my reason for pushing for this at this time is with the American Recovery Act money coming in soon, which we'll discuss further in a couple of minutes. One of the uses for those funds is water, sewer, and broadband infrastructure. And if there are any projects that we want to do as far where it comes to water and sewer, we would need to have a rate study completed as well as an income study at some point. So if we could go ahead and just get moving on this now. It's been 8 years since we did the last one, and not saying that I won't even go there, but if we could get moving, that would be great.
Comments or questions, council, or a motion to approve moving forward with the water sewer rate study?
So moved.
The proposal, just a point of information, the proposal is $6,200 each study.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna say that in the public meeting in case you decided you wanted to get others, so
I'm sorry, I thought we were signing this.
I did provide that in that.
Yes.
So moved.
Second.
So
Can I please ask, are you moving, we approve the agreements that are in hand, or do you want to approve the process and bid it out?
Approve the process and bid it out.
well, now you can't because you just gave away the number,
Okay.
So,
which
Well,
is why I didn't say it out loud.
so this is our usual consultant for sewer rate study.
that's
You
where
all
I
want,
was.
okay, do you all want to approve those,
The rate study.
the proposal that we have on hand to do the sewer and water rate study?
So moved.
Okay,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, next we have the Evil Czech building. Rich and I met with the food pantry committee that toured the building. And, you know, although it would have been an ideal space for them, knowing it would have to be brought up to code and have a ton of work done on it, that's not ideal. So originally we were going to suggest a work session on this, but we currently don't need to do that at this time if you want to put that on hold for the time being.
Okay.
So then we're looking at ordinance 2021-005. This is an ordinance allowing payments via EFT. Karen has provided this. I think she sent everyone copies. Karen, while I'm pulling this out.
Basically, it would allow us, I just want to cover our basis and it would allow me to make payments via online or EFT. There are a number of vendors that we use are moving to this option or encouraging their customers to move that way. And we have one specific vendor that we're having an issue with as far as receiving their invoices in a timely manner and turning around and getting it paid in a timely manner and avoiding late fees, which come out of my pocket. So if you would appreciate it, my family and I would appreciate you passing this to avoid having.
Yeah,
late
as you
fees.
guys know, we had one that took the post office 16 days to deliver it, a
Right.
payment, which they then considered late. So this would allow Karen to just do it electronically. So we're asking to pass this first of all on first read. We have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Since our passed on first read, honor a motion to suspend the rules and pass on second and third read.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next, Karen provided the ordinance for establishing the ARP Coronavirus Local Fiscal Recovery Fund 176. As you guys know, Karen explained that with these funds coming into the town, you first have to establish an ordinance and explain that you're going to have a plan for spending those funds. So this ordinance lays that out. And ideally, to get moving on that, we need to get this taken care of first. So any questions or comments on that one? Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to suspend the rules on second and third pass.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you. And thank you, Karen, for taking care of those on top of everything else that you've been doing.
Is it gonna be the council's intention to work as a whole on putting together this plan, or, you know, maybe designate a group of committee-wise to review the regs and make recommendations? Follow that.
Honestly, I'm waiting, State Board of Accounts, I was in a meeting today, State Board of Accounts, that they were waiting for additional information from Treasury as far as what needs to be done, so I was kind of waiting on
So wait till
their
then.
information.
You told me this last time.
So.
Yep.
And
They don't know
that's
what they're
what they
doing
told me last time, too. So Treasury's a little slow.
Yep.
All right, next we have Regional Stellar Plan update. The only thing I have under this is several months back, I think Jonathan had asked the council to contribute $5,000 to Marshall County Crossroads team to pay their marketing bills and their, as they're implementing the Regional Stellar Plan, there's bills.
Right.
And this is a nonprofit group, obviously. We tabled that at the time because we were hoping that we could get some corporate sponsorship to help foot the bills. That hasn't happened, but the county has stepped up to put $10,000 into that pool of money that had been set aside as part of the Stellar pool of money that the county was putting in. So they're asking the reps on the Marshall County Crossroads team to approach the councils to get a contribution to that funding. It's similar to funding MCEDC or another organization, but they will specifically be to pay bills to implement regional stellar planning only. If we do another project like Blue Zones or something else through the Crossroads team, we may have to figure out funding for that separately. It depends on what projects they take on. So I told Crossroads Committee that I would ask the town of Culver, since Jonathan's no longer here, if we wanted to make a contribution to that.
Question, do we need a service or a provider agreement or some type of
Yes.
written agreement with them to do this?
Yeah,
Is there a standardized?
it
one
would
that
be-
The county used and so that we could use?
Sean Cerisi's written one for the Crossroads team, so I can provide that to Karen, but Karen can modify it if she wants. Similar agreement that we have with MCEDC where you agree to pay, do these services, in
Right.
return you get this contribution. So yes, and I think we did one a couple years ago when we were applying for Stellar. Each of the towns put in funding to pay for the Stellar Regional Development Plan. We had that agreement. Mhm.
How much are they asking for in total?
Well, originally it was $5,000 per community, and I think they were asking Plymouth and the county for more than that. So the county put in 10 at this point. So we'd also, though, have to let Karen know where to take that out of, because I don't believe we budgeted another round of regional stellar last year. So we'd have to go through appropriation for that.
You have to determine where. And then
I
we'll
would
see where we're at.
I would think if the county has put in 10 and Plymouth is gonna put in something else, I'm thinking there are 4 other communities, 4 other councils in the, you know, in the county that we're putting in. I would think that basically we should be putting in a quarter of what,
The county does.
of what the county does.
Yeah, where the other communities can make up the
Yeah.
other quarter.
Mhm.
So 2,500 would be, where would we take this out of, Karen? What would be
At this point, you probably just take it out of the
general fund? Okay. Is that a motion?
I so move.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So is that a motion to contribute $2,500 out of the general fund towards the Marshall County?
Mhm.
Thank you.
Yes.
With the service contract to be provided.
Yeah, I will have Sean connect with you, Karen, because he wrote one for the other towns in the county. I think he did one for the county,
Yeah, he
didn't he?
did.
Yeah,
It's
he did.
fine, really.
Yeah, okay. Okay, thank you. So Regional Stellar Team is meeting again shortly. You guys probably saw the Earth Day challenge that the Crossroads team sponsored. There was cleanup day. Amber was kind enough to do a cleanup event in the park as part of that. Stellar plan update. Does anyone have updates on their projects for Stellar? We already covered trails. State Road 10 is under construction, as well as Jefferson Street. Any other updates from council? Okay.
I have a question on the sidewalk, because a couple people have asked me, on the sidewalk that's going up Lake Shore and then connecting to 10, is that going to go behind that concrete sign? In other words, it's going to go through the liquor store parking lot? Or is it, if it goes around, it's going to take part of the street?
Welcome to Culver sign.
Yeah,
Mhm. I gotta look at it, Bill.
okay,
I'm not totally sure if it's behind it or in front of it.
okay. I just had some
It
questions.
goes on the, it goes
Pardon?
on the outside, Jenny. It goes on the outside, Jenny. There's not enough right of way. The right of way is not chamfered.
Yeah, I couldn't see how it could go behind, but, so in front.
Could have gone for, okay.
And I did have, John Zahner asked me about that project, if he was hoping it was gonna go under construction soon, and I told him when he gets back to town, he will notice it's already under construction. Okay, department head reports. Jeff, are you on the line for EMS?
Yes, Jenny, I have nothing for tonight. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Jeff. Terry, anything for the fire department?
I just wanted to tell you that the gear finally that was ordered last year came in and we put it into service last night. I'm sure the numbers will come out at the end of the meeting. And that's it, thank you.
Okay. Wayne, are you on the line for the police department?
You had a meeting in there.
Okay. So we'll move to Park. Amber.
It's 2 special event forms, which I sent off to you guys at the Fireman's Festival for July 24th. Just the only thing important to note is the street blockage, State Street from Lake Shore to, and then up to Pearl. And then similarly, the Water Bowl tournament, which is part of Lake Fest, by the way. It was in that application, but I guess they submitted another one, so those are the 2.
Okay. A motion to approve the fire department's water ball tournament and festival July 3rd and 24th respectively.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's all. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Amber. Bob, do you have anything else for reporting on utilities?
Just one statement about the water ball. Could Terry get me a gallon used for that event?
It'd be rough, but we'll get one.
That's fine. Just a ballpark so I can put it on my sheet. Would now be a good, do we need to do any further action with the easement MOU for parking shop property for the rain garden?
Well, this is Jim Clevenger, Bob. Yes. Sorry I didn't get that to you sooner, but it's kind of in draft form. And how much conversation have you had with Boggo Creek Realty LLC?
I've spoken with Cheryl and her husband, and they are open and willing to allow us to use their property to put this rain garden in. But that's as far as it's went. I've confirmed that they're willing to do it.
Okay, because my preference obviously is to have them grant us an easement that we can record so that when we make the investment, it's there. We don't have to worry about them taking it back, changing the parking lot, doing whatever. I know you understand and think that if they're going to do something in that property, they're going to probably have to put a retention pond somewhere. And I can't believe if they do further development, that retention pond's going to be big enough. But the other thing is that I don't have a legal description for it. If we do an easement, I just have your depiction, which is actually pretty good, but it's not yours, it's Troyer's. Did you see the Troyer depiction? Yeah. Ideally, we'd have a legal description. So one of us needs to, I think, talk more with the landowner and make sure they're on for this. But the council probably could approve the easement and I hate for them to approve an MOU without getting all the particulars. You're anxious to get it done, I know.
Well, we're under a time crunch because they switched from Jefferson out to 10 to do that first, and but
I saw barrels there. You guys starting down the Lakeshore already?
We were. No, not yet.
Oh.
They started at Maple Ridge, and they're headed that way. They're hoping to have all the right of way cleared by the end of this week or beginning of next. So you'll see action down there at that part, but there won't be concrete back in it till several weeks to go. So.
Okay, well, either you or I need to have contact with the landowners, and we need to make sure we're all on the same page.
Okay, I will print off the draft form and get that to them and see what changes they'd like to see.
Both on the easement and on the MOU.
Okay, perfect. I'll do that.
Okay.
I'll try to get that done tomorrow.
Thank you.
The only other thing I had was thanking Jenny for her service and welcome aboard.
Thanks, Bob. Is anyone reporting from the Plan Commission tonight or BZA? All right, I'll go to Redevelopment Commission.
Fairly uneventful meeting. We passed the support for the branding for Visitor Center. And I know there's been some discussion as soon as we have the redevelopment, economic development set up. We'd like to attend that.
Sally, Cheryl is going to come on May the 10th to visit. I'm hoping to align a few people to meet with her. Redevelopment, Chamber, Develop Culver. I don't know how long she's going to be here yet. We've scheduled a call for early next week. So once I get a schedule from her, I'll reach out to all of you guys and see if we can schedule a little time with her.
Sounds good.
And then she's going to sort of come up with steps moving forward for that.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone from the Tree Commission reporting would be online because I don't think we have anyone here. If not, we'll move to Clerk's report, Karen.
So I've got a number of claims for approval over $2,000. Sorry, Barnes and Thornburg, $6,464 for the unsafe housing. Tim Uhas, $3,200. That's for the park, removing pier sections that need to be moved for the project, the sidewalk project that just happened. Troyer Group for $5,460, and that's for the park project for the future Stellar one. Live Oak Electric, $2,485 for park repairs and outdoor lighting. Wyland, Humphrey, Clevenger, and Cerisi for $7,380 for legal fees. And then, as Terry alluded to, I believe it was already approved, but I'll throw it in there anyway, just to be safe. Phoenix Safety Outfitters for $37,290, and that was for the new gear that they just received. And then also, if you could approve the Visitor Center for $3,500, that check was prepared, but I wanted to hold it until we had the contract in place.
Okay, motion to approve claims over 1,500.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The second thing I have is, you all reviewed the applicants for the sidewalk program last time and approved them, but I told you there was one that we were waiting on some measurements. So I need to add 79 feet of curbing, and that reimbursement would be $1,106. So, and it falls within the $12,000.
Falls within the 12,000.
Yes.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Somewhere in my stack of pile, I do have a budget, a calendar for the upcoming budget season, which we're all looking forward to. I can tell you caught my sarcasm there, but I will get that out to you. I'm trying to move it up just a little bit, but still have final approval that first meeting in October. And then my last thing is, I'm going to read this because I wrote it earlier, but I want to thank Jenny for her service and extraordinary leadership on the town council. As a town council member and a town council president, she has met issues head on, and she hasn't run away from them, and she's worked tirelessly to find a good solution. And the last 2 weeks are a prime example of her work ethic and her dedication to the town of Culver and its citizens, and taking time that she had scheduled for vacation to meet with the citizens of Culver and trying to come to some sort of solution on the trail. So I know you don't see it, but I have the privilege of seeing it, and I appreciate it. So she has been the mover and shaker on this council, and I don't think there's anybody that will disagree with me on that one. And she's also the driver behind a lot of the initiatives that have been accomplished in the last decade and those that are yet to come. And I'm thankful for the privilege I've had of serving Culver with you as a council member, and I look forward to continue serving you with you as a town manager. So.
Thank you.
Second.
Not calling that one in.
You'll have to abstain.
Yeah, I abstain.
Is there a vote?
Yeah.
Thanks. Okay, we've been like babies. Should we go on to the attorney reports?
Sure. I can switch subjects a little bit. Okay, we handled the rain garden, we handled Lake Max trails. I handed to you new amended notice of sheriff's sale, and the reason it's amended, if you've read it, is the Marshall County Sheriff, without really telling me, decided to change how they conducted sheriff sales, and they're not doing it at the sheriff's office anymore. They're doing it online. The first one is going to be the May sheriff's sale, which is I think the fourth Tuesday in May. So we'll see how that goes. This reason I gave you this is our sheriff's sale for the 415 Lakeshore property has been rescheduled for June 22nd at 1 p.m. It has the online site. I've been told you can go there, you can watch it. I haven't familiar with it, so I don't know. If you want to bid, you can, but it does necessitate now a trip to the sheriff's office. Still on that subject, I amended our minimum bid. The real estate taxes went from some number up to $42,360.97. And I also added in Barnes and Thornburg's fees of $64.64. So our new minimum bid will be $120,814.02. haven't got quite all the particulars worked out on the attorney fees yet, but I'm hopeful that that's the case. I'm not sure, you probably all are well aware of, I wasn't able to change my schedule at the last minute and attend the BZA hearing for the Burns variance, so I sent my Top Gun in. And I heard that she did very well. We discovered that we did not have a written stop order, so we had one prepared ahead of time, and at the end of the meeting, furnished the landowner the stop work order. And so, you know, the landowners are supposed to meet with and provide a plan for correcting the issues within 15 days. I calculated that out to be Thursday. As of Monday, I had not heard from our Culver building commissioner that he had been contacted by those folks. Drove by there tonight on the way in, and it doesn't look like anything has been done, but
They've taken the windows out, Jim.
did they take the windows out?
They've taken the windows out.
Okay, so there maybe got
first story,
something
yeah.
going, so. But the idea is that the plan is supposed to be approved by Culver building commissioner, and so we'll follow up on that. And with that, I'll second and ditto Karen's nice comments. It's been a pleasure working with you. As president, one of you other folks are going to find out that that's not an easy position to be in. So we'll see how that goes. But the nice thing about it is I get to work with you for the town manager.
I look
now.
forward to it.
Just switch hats, and I'm used to switching hats, so no problem.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Is anyone here for an ordinance or a shut-off violation? I think so. Citizen input online. We'll start with anyone online. If you wish to have citizen input, could you please unmute yourself? Or flag Karen in the chat room. Okay, doesn't look like you got any. All right, citizen input in the room. Tracy?
Just also want to reiterate what Karen and Jim and others have said. Thank you for your leadership on the council. I have been to many council meetings and seen you do miraculous things by trying to really accommodate and also lead. So it's been a really great pleasure to have you on there. But so looking forward to working with you as town manager. I also want to thank the council for approving the service agreement with the visitor center. We really have appreciated the partnership over the last 6 or 7 years, and appreciate your support. And we will continue to do as many good things as we can do, and certainly welcome your input on it as well. So thanks again.
Thanks, Tracy. Citizen input, anyone?
I just want to say that, you know, I apologize for my temperament. It ran a little hot. I definitely can tell that you are trying your best to appease us as best as you can, given the circumstances. I feel like on both sides of this room, we are boxed into fewer and fewer solutions because of time being the biggest adversity here. And it's kind of forcing us to be enemies more than cooperative, working together. And I hope my demeanor didn't push that too far. I live on South Plymouth Street in an area where there isn't really much room to maneuver anything. I mean, that's just the math of before me. And that goes for the people in this room. You know, they're really, to make this work, it's going to butcher the road. That's just the way it has to be. And it sounds like, given that with the NDOT grant and everything that you put forward today, a lot of it I didn't know the details on. You know, you're working from a point of desperation just as much as we're working to stop it. And it's a shame. It's a shame because it's going to mar this path. This is probably the most visible project that all of you on the council are going to do in your tenure here. And it's going to be met with all this opposition and all this vitriol. And it's just a shame. I hope we can change that. I really do. I mean, I think everyone in this room, no matter what your politics are, there is a lot of cynicism and a lot of hate between people. And I'm very new to this community, and I have the joy of seeing people who are just so much better to one another than that. And I appreciate your hard work. I really do. If this goes through, I don't know how long I'll be staying in Culver. I want to make this my home. I'm not really sure anymore. But either way, I just appreciate the work you do and doing the best you can.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of courage to come into this room and talk to council and each other and.
It's been my first town council meeting.
Yeah.
It's been something.
Always welcome back.
Thank you.
Well, we
Appreciate it. Yeah.
I will talk to NDOT and see what kind of time we can buy, and we'll
Okay.
continue to work on it. We'll continue to, I would like for you to look at the design if you could take some time to do that.
Certainly.
It
Thank
may
you.
have changed since last time you looked at it. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I don't know your address, but we can look at it together.
Thank you.
And I'm
I
going
would
to
like
stick
that.
around after the meeting. So
Mhm.
anyone who wants to stick around, I told Joey and Randy I didn't expect it to go this long, but happy to get your feedback on it.
Okay. Thank you.
But thank you for that. That was very nice of you. Was there any other citizen input? Yes, Jamie?
Speaking of taking hats off, I have to take off my editor's hat right now, and speaking as a resident, I want to thank you, Jenny, for your dedication. I have no doubt that that's going to carry right over into your new position, but we're really blessed to have you. Even from an editor's perspective, it's absolutely impossible to please everybody, but I don't know if I know anybody who tries harder than you. So thank you for everything you've done for all of us.
Thanks, Jamie. I appreciate it. We'll go on to council issues. Rich, council issues.
I'm suggesting that, and not as immediate action, but that we set up or have a work session to talk about how items get on our agenda, what our policy is in terms of public input and participation, what the guidelines are around that. AIM has some suggested guidelines for that, and I would suggest that I sent some of the information around to people at a recent workshop that Sally and I participated in an AIM workshop. So I would like to see us develop a policy around that, and I think the work session would probably be the appropriate way to do it. Second, on the work session, since it's springtime, we all want to spend the rest of the nights inside. I wonder if we should schedule a work session between now and the 10th of May to talk about the Phase 2 trail project.
Yeah, I was thinking like a week from today, May 4th, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, if we want to do it as a work session followed by a special meeting, if we need to make decisions, then I mean, the work session too, we can more openly
Yeah.
address the conversation as far as the plan.
Karen, do you think we should make that a special session in case we need to vote to accept changes? You know, there may be a need to vote.
Right.
And a work session you can't really vote at. So, and certainly I won't be able to vote in that, but can participate in that meeting. And we would ask for Bill to join in that, but would a week from today work for all of you? Bill, would that work for you for a work session? 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock? What works best for you guys?
Let's make 4th. What day is that?
It's a Tuesday, it'd be a week from today, but ideally we should probably have it after business hours for most of the people on Plymouth Street. So
Let's do 6:30 again.
Would 6:30 be a thumbs, okay,
Yeah, that's good for me. I don't know
Okay.
about everybody else. I don't want to speak for everybody.
okay.
I have
Bill?
trouble making.
I have a doctor's appointment in Crown Point at 3:45.
So 6:30 might be okay?
And I can get back probably
Okay,
6:30.
6:30 on
Okay.
board.
special session
It's fine.
versus a work session. Do you guys want Jim to attend?
I think that would be,
Say what?
I think that would be, sorry about that, pal.
I'll bake.
I think you should be here.
All right, let's do that. So a week from today, the 4th. I know I can email a handful of you. I have email addresses for. Can you spread that word too among your neighbors?
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And then Rich will schedule that other work session maybe sometime in May for what you were
Right.
talking about with agenda and policy, and maybe before the second meeting or something.
I know that CRC was also interested in doing the same.
So maybe we could have a joint meeting for that.
Possibly.
Redevelopment. Sally, any council issues? Or I'm sorry, Rich, I didn't mean to cut you off. Did you have any other?
You make me speechless. I'm done, thank you.
I want to thank you for being town council president for many years, and
thanks.
Look forward to working with you as town manager.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Council issues, Bill.
Jenny, anything that I could say that would pale to what I think Karen said? And all I can tell you is good luck, Godspeed in your new position.
Thank you, Bill. Council issues, Bill.
Jenny, you know, it all goes without saying. Thank you for everything you've done and look forward to working with you in the future. I also would like to everybody in this room to know that we had a Republican caucus this evening in Plymouth at 5 o'clock, and Bill Ham, sitting in the back of the room, was elected the new council member to slide into Jenny's spot. So he will join us on the 4th, and then the future time after that. And he will be fulfilling the remainder of her term, which is about 2.5 years.
Yeah. He's gonna sit on the council, but I assume you're gonna reorganize the board.
We'll reorganize the board at the first meeting in probably the first full meeting.
I didn't want him to think he was gonna get the president.
Run.
He doesn't know it yet.
Nobody else wants it?
Run. We're gonna tell him tomorrow.
Yeah. I don't have any council issues, but I did want to comment on my 14 years on the council, which I can't believe is really coming to an end. And it's, I've always thought of the people who voted to put me here as my bosses. And now my teammates are all going to be my bosses. So still wrapping my head around that. Bill, I hope that when you join the board, you'll believe in the same things I believed in. And that's being transparent with people, being open to other people's ideas, knowing you do not have all the answers, being open to the idea of bringing experts in the room when you're not the expert, listening. Listening is a really hard job for anybody, but it's probably the most important job we do. Spent a lot of time listening the past few weeks, but really the past 14 years. And then also like looking at your community as your neighbors and organizations and volunteers in this community. We are a huge volunteer community, and there are so many people doing the work of community development and not getting paid to do the work because they're just good people and they're good neighbors. And that's what I've always tried to be as a council person, is just a good person, a good neighbor, a good listener. And I tried to practice leadership to some degree, not always successfully. But as you join, you'll find out that it has its ups and flows and its ups and downs. And the best you can do is what you can do. And I have felt really honored that people kept putting me here. At times, I'm not sure why I did it. But it has been a great honor, and I want to thank my husband who joined tonight. I'm sorry, I'm not usually this emotional, because you give up a lot of your free time when you're doing volunteer work, essentially. I mean, we get paid a stipend, but we're volunteers. And he gave up a lot of date nights, a lot of late nights, a lot of weekends, a lot of meetings, And he was very patient about that. And he supported me, went door to door with me to campaign, listened to me when I came home in tears like this, stayed up with me many hours discussing every issue you can imagine in the town. And I also want to thank Karen, Julie Cowell, Terry Wakefield, Bob Porter, Jeff Kuhn, Wayne Bean, and the great team of people working for those people, because it is such an honor to work with the town's employees. They do such a good job taking care of the town that it allowed us to do some things that we'd never done in Culver before, like Stellar, like many of the projects we tried to tackle and get done. And if it weren't for those people, we wouldn't even get to sit here and be honored to do that type of work. So thank you, Terry and town employees. And thank you, Karen and Julie, for being such a great support. Thank you, Jim, for being the most amazing attorney who I turn to, I don't know how many times, for not just legal advice, but moral support. And most of all, thank you to the people in this community who trusted me and put me here. I hope you'll work with me as the town manager, because I'm looking forward to working in that role as well.
Real quick, how much do you think you've been involved in the grants? How much money do you think you've helped bring to town?
Why would you ask?
Because you know the number, and I don't think people realize just
We've done a lot of grant work.
between everything.
Yeah.
Come up with a number.
No.
Well, she's working on that. I want to thank Grant for sharing your wife with the council and with the town.
And I'm sorry I sobbed like a baby, and I promise not to keep crying as we look at the design for the trails. So anyone who wants to stick around for that.
Sugar solution
There is a sugar solution, yes.
Don't worry, it's over here, it's dry.
So motion to adjourn to claims for the last time.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And there's Kate. Yay! Can I get you all in a picture together as we make the transition?
Oh, thanks, Amber.
She's gonna have you sign those. Yeah. I think there's two of them.
Right, oh, okay. Put that with it.
One of these.
I think he's gonna subject to, somebody's gonna subject to the second page. Look at this. How did you have time to make that cake and do all the work you do? Congratulations. Thank you.
You're swamped. You're swamped.
You know you want that cake, and you know. She's gonna have mine.
Just leave our house by December.
Oh, this past
I'm
December.
sorry, I've been so emotional the last 3 days. I was like, not expecting
Kind
it.
of, but we.
I'm a better
bought
writer
house
than
back in
orator.
2015.
Sorry, I barely got through my little speech, but you have to know that.
And
There's a lot of people who
so
have
we've
no
been
idea.
here for a while, and then I've been coming here since.
Even though I did try, I read about it. I didn't start until you did.
I don't know.
You guys start to think maybe other people will have some.
So we've been coming, and then our kids